Hey friends, so today I want to take away the fear of what in the world do I do if I do not know enough to homeschool my children. I think that is a funny fear to have in the world where we live in, where we can really find the answers to absolutely everything. You have Alexa, you have Siri, you have YouTube videos, you have libraries, you have all of these resources out there, yet we're afraid that we are incapable of teaching our kids everything that they need to know. And really, to be honest, all you need to do is get them to where they can read, and then they can go find the answers all by themselves. And I promise you, when you give them the time and learning becomes a fun thing to do and learning becomes a priority for them, they will find the answers to everything it is that they're wanting to know. Obviously, that comes with some safeguards and some locks on some different technologies and so on and so forth, but that's not what this episode is about. And I really just want to debunk the myth that you do not know enough in order to homeschool your child, or the fear of what in the world do I do if I don't have the answer that my kid is asking the question to. Welcome to the Confidence to Homeschool podcast with me, Kelsieshelaine. I'm a lover of all things Jesus, an exceptional wife to an exceptional husband, and a homeschooling mama of 4. Together, let's trade in those insecurities and questions of if you can homeschool for the confidence that homeschooling was the right decision for you. Through simple homeschooling techniques, growth in God, and small mindset shifts, we have the power to change generations and set our kids' hearts tuned to the Lord and a love of learning. So grab your lukewarm coffee, because who gets to drink it hot anyways, and let's shave off years of that how to homeschool learning curve. All right, so I am going to just jump right into today's topic, and I am going to start out with one of the things that I believe is most important. It is not one of those like tactical things, but this is to take a little bit of the pressure off of your shoulders and your concerns about homeschooling. So one of the things that I have learned through this homeschooling journey is that it's not necessarily my job to equip my children with everything that they're going to need to know in their life, because their life can go in so many different directions, right? Like whenever I was growing up, school was a huge factor. It was a huge place in my life where I was just nonstop getting bombarded with, you need to do better, you need to do better, you need to do better. And nobody had any idea that I was actually going to grow up and be a stay-at-home military wife with 4 kids. And to be completely honest, the places that I actually needed to be learning was how to cook, how to clean up messes, how to control laundry in my house. All of these things that, to be honest, I wasn't super equipped with. Like, I was an only child, and my mom didn't cook a whole lot. And again, to be honest, we ate most of our meals out because it was cheaper for me to just get whatever I wanted from the place that I wanted. She didn't have to fight with me over dinner, and she didn't have to take the time to prepare it. We lived in a town where there was all of these meal choices that were close to us, and we could just go and we could get whatever I wanted. So that's what we did. We cleaned on Saturdays. Pretty much only because we weren't making a ton of dishes. We weren't cooking a whole lot at the house. My mom was gone a ton. I was at school. I was only home for a couple of hours in the evening. We went to cheer practice, and then we were back. So there wasn't a whole lot of mess to clean up either. So it's so funny to me that school was such a huge priority while I was growing up, and the academics part of it was such a huge priority while I was growing up. And I have landed here in my life where I am a stay-at-home military wife with 4 kids, and I'm homeschooling. Like, I, of course, needed enough school, which I believe that you should teach your children, in order to be able to teach them their ABCs and their counting and their 1, 2, 3s and all of those things that are their core basics, their necessities, their addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, so on and so forth. And I've talked about this before. I truly do believe that a lot of the things that we needed to learn, we've learned between kindergarten and 6th grade. So like 7th through 12th grade, there's a lot of things in life that we're learning that we're not going to remember and we're not going to use, and we're going to have a really hard time telling our children why it is that they need to know the periodic table. Because the only thing I've ever actually used from the periodic table is H2O. Like, that's water, and that's just because it's a funny thing said in conversation kind of deal. So, I do find it interesting that we live in this world where we're so afraid that we aren't going to be able to teach our kids everything that they need to know, because they have access to any questions that they want answered at their fingertips. So instead, I have just chosen to believe that God is going to equip my kids with whatever it is that He needs for them to be able to do what it is that He has for them to do in the kingdom. Addison is absolutely incredible at arguing, finding loopholes, all of the things. She could 100% grow up to be an attorney. She also really likes gross things. She could I was a surgical tech. Whenever I graduated high school, I took a couple of years wondering, didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I went and was a surgical tech. And I've told you guys a lot of times about how I struggled in school, but I did a hardcore surgical tech program. It was something I was interested in. That's one of those things with an ADHD brain, is if you're not interested in it, it's just really, really, really hard to dive into it. But surgery was something I absolutely loved. It was an 11-month program to where we were doing a lesson each day, a test the next day, and it was super fast-tracked, did months of clinicals, and I thrived in that area, and I honestly really loved that area. So I have no idea. It's very possible that she can grow up to be a surgeon if she wanted to. But in my opinion, I do believe that you can give them the freedom to enjoy the areas and the topic of learning that they enjoy. And I think that them asking questions is a really, really great place for you to figure out what areas that is. Elijah, my 4-year-old, will sit and watch videos over fishing and animals all day long. Whenever he's outside, he's digging in the dirt. Whenever he is finding a frog, he's picking it up. He's checking it out. He wants to see it eat bugs. He wants to see it do all of the natural things that it does. And it creates a lot of great questions. One of my kids at one point in time asked me about a ladybug and why in the world a ladybug was named a ladybug. And cool enough story, we went ahead and were in the parking lot at Target, and I looked it up. And the whole reason that the ladybug has its name is because they were having, I think it was in England, they were having an aphid infestation that it was going and killing all of their crops. And the people were praying their lady, Mary, and she answered with the ladybug coming and eating all of the aphids. That's what the ladybug does. And so they said it was an answered prayer from their lady. And so that's where it was the ladybug. That's where the whole name came from. And so many people probably have no idea of that. And that is definitely not in a school curriculum. And I promise you, if they were in school, they would probably not be told, let's go find out where this came from. It would be, we've got other things to do. We have the strict curriculum to go by, and we need to stay on task in order to be able to check mark all of the boxes to get everything accomplished that we need to get done for the day and for the year. So that is one of my absolute favorite things about homeschooling, is the fact that we get to enjoy their questions and the rabbit holes that we go down, and we get to do those with them. So my biggest thing is give yourself permission to not know the answers to all of the questions, one, and two, know that God is going to make sure that your kids have the answers for everything it is that He needs to equip them with for what He has for them in life. Two biggest things. But we have obviously some more practical takeaways as well. So a couple of the places that I go whenever we are coming up with a question and I don't really have an answer for it, we have an Alexa in our house, and we got the Alexa with the screen, which I don't necessarily recommend. I definitely think just a regular Alexa, and I absolutely understand that people are like, they are spies in your house, and I get that, but to be honest, she makes my life easier because I do my grocery list on her. She sets all of my timers. We listen to music on her. She answers a lot of questions for my kids. So I'm okay with the government spying on me for that exact reason, is she makes my life easier. And your phones are listening anyways. So we have Alexa, we have Siri, we can look anything up on YouTube. There is a YouTube university. There is a school of YouTube. You can find all of the answers to all of the things on YouTube. We love Jack Hartman. He does great with like their kids' ABCs, counting to 100. He's the reason that Asher knows how to count to 100, and honestly beyond, because he puts it all to movement and to motion. His name is Jack Hartman. I'll put him in the show notes. And it's been a really fun experience just getting to watch them and what they enjoy and what they, decide to look up and question. So we are in this world where we have all of these answers at our fingertips. Another cool thing to do whenever they come up with a question is go to the library and find some books. And then if you really wanted to, you could make it an entire unit study on whatever topic it is that they're having questions about. So Addison really loves, like I was saying, she really loves anatomy. And we did an entire unit study when she was, second grade, 2 years ago probably. And I got her this little human body, and we went through all of the different organs, and she was just asking questions on like, why is your blood red whenever you bleed? Or why Asher had fell and cut his chin, and there was little, I'm sorry, this is probably too much for some of you. There was little areas where like fat was exposed, and she saw that and she's like, what is that? And so like we were able to do entire conversations on that. And so the next thing that I want to talk to you about is phoning a friend. We don't so much phone a friend, but my Grammy is 74 years old. And one of my favorite things to do, as you guys know, for history, we do a lot of Who Was books, and we travel down that road of different areas of time, and we've talked about slavery in depth, and we kind of call her and ask her what she remembers about these different times, or ask her questions, and it's crazy the conversations that we come up with. So if you have a friend to call, or if you have a mom or a grandma that is older and can remember some of the things that have happened during these periods of time, I think it's so important for kids to understand that we are human as well, and that we don't have the answers to everything, and that we also are lifelong learners as well. And that we're constantly discovering and we're constantly learning new things, and how fun learning can be and how exciting all of it can be when we are doing it together. I think that that's really how you create a lifelong learner, is being able to open up those conversations to other people. And a side note to that is, I think that the world would be a much better place if we allowed other people to teach us things, because every single person in this world, I don't care who they are, they have something to teach you. Every person in this world knows something that you may not know yet. So just treat people as such, like treat people as wise, even if you think that they may not be. They have an area that they excel in, because nobody just sucks all the way around, y'all. So that is it. That is all I have for you today. Know that God has your child's best interest at heart. You don't have to have all of the answers as soon as they ask the questions. If they ask a question and you don't have the answer to it and you're not willing to look it up at that moment, say, that's a really good question. I'd love to explore that with you. Will you just go ahead and write that down on like a little sticky note, and let's put it on your school book, and I want to look that up with you tomorrow. And then do it. Make sure that you look it up, especially if it's a cool question. And, Asher likes to throw in Bible questions also, like, why is God stronger than the devil? And I'm like, all right, well, let's jump right into that conversation, and then we can get into the Word together and just start talking about different things. So I think that that's also an important tidbit to know. Thank you for hanging out with another conversation on the Confidence to Homeschool podcast. And I hope that this blessed you. And thanks for being a great friend. Hey friend, thanks again for joining me today on your journey to the Confidence to Homeschool. I hope this podcast blessed you with one more tool of success. If it did, please scroll down to the bottom of your screen and leave me a review. Share it with a friend. Just remember, confidence in anything takes practice, so let's grow.